The dust has settled at the Coastal Olympic Park and the medals have been awarded. We have a new ladies figure skating champion and her name is Alina Zagitova. As we welcome you to Olympic Ice presented by Toyota. Hello everyone, Liam McHugh alongside Scott Hamilton and Tanith White. Zagitova becomes the second youngest individual figure skating gold medalist, narrowly edging out Yevgenia Medvedeva. This is a show where we're not afraid to talk about our feelings. It's a day later.
It's a day later.
How are you feeling?
Oh, man. As soon as the event was over, it was like that lived up to all expectation. And then I went back to get a bite to eat over lunch, and I just felt this, like, oh, my word. You know, it's like they both deserve to have 100% of that spotlight, and yet they split it the entire time they were here, and one walks away the champion. It was almost heartbreaking that you're looking at two of the greatest skaters like in history who had to go head to head when they each deserved to have their own period of time just to enjoy 100% of the spotlight. It was, I had a little bit of remorse.
Yeah, I mean, they were exciting for different reasons.
Yeah.
Zagitova's technical prowess was so impressive. It definitely garnered a lot of excitement, and then Medvedeva brought the emotional side of things. But I would say for the first time this Olympic Games, I came out emotionally balanced, you know, which is really impressive for me. So
what's that
I felt pretty even-keeled, that I understood why the results came out the way they did. I'm happy that they both delivered what they had on Olympic ice. I mean, it's what we expected, but at the same time, when they lay it down under that kind of pressure, it's that much more impressive.
Yeah.
So beautifully skated. So beautifully skated. The top two, you know, there's nothing they can look back on and say, oh, I wish if I would have only, you know, that would have, could have, should have thing we've talked about. It was just an incredible night where one threw it down in a really wonderful way, and then the next one had to close the show and live up to all that pressure and all that expectation. And skated, to me, I thought Medvedeva, that was probably one of the best long programs I've ever seen her skate. It just, top to bottom, artistically, technically, it was just a masterclass, you know.
The poise, the composure for a 15-year-old and an 18-year-old. Here's what the final standings look at. Top four, same as they were after the short program. And no movement at all yesterday between Zagitova and Medvedeva. They earned the exact same score as each other in the free skate. Caitlin Osmond rounds out the podium with bronze. And after another day of technical mistakes, the Americans finish 9, 10, and 11. But let's look back at Zagitova.
Oh, it was amazing. Like every now and then, when you go into a jump, you hit it too pure. And this is the case here, too pure. She knew she couldn't pull off the triple loop, and I'm thinking that's the difference. Without that triple Lutz triple loop, she has no chance of holding off Medvedeva on a clean night. It was that hip got a little bit past, and she goes, nope, can't do it. And it's almost like Tiger Woods when he stops his swing and his backswing. And then all of a sudden, it was just one of those things where she said, I've got another element, the 8th element in this long program, toward the end of her program, and she goes, I can do this. And when she put down that triple Lutz, triple loop, I said, that deserves to win the Olympics.
Yeah, I mean, she opened the door with the first Lutz, and she just closed it with the second one in combination. She came out with all of the pressure on her after that skate from Zagitova.
And then the score came out, and what are the odds? And it's almost like poetic justice that they tie, and they both got to their score in different ways, but they absolutely 100% tied.
You agree with this, though?
100%.
I mean, you see the program components. That's the artistry, the skating skills. That's where Medvedeva had the edge going in, and she had it again last night. But that technical score, that is just so hard to beat when you look at Zagitova. And really, the big difference maker was the lead, that 1.31 points she had after the short program as well. So it really came down to just about as close as we could ever possibly imagine it. A real storybook ending. But, you know, it's just really nice that they were both able to give it their all. That gives your heart a lot of peace, you know. And as we've been saying all week long, you win the gold, you win the silver, you win the bronze. So everyone really comes away a winner here based on how they skated.
Russians are deep. You know, they've got another level to everything they do, and it's all about, you know, what they are from, you know, the core of their being. They put into everything they do, and skating is such a great sport for Russians because it's more than just being technically, you know, sound and doing the jumps and hitting the levels and doing that. There's always just that other gear that they can throw it into that gives that depth to a performance.
It's clear that Eteri Tutberidze, the coach of Zagitova and Medvedeva, is doing a wonderful job not only creating these incredible jumpers and all-around skaters, but she's also training them mentally to be able to handle moments like this.
They're not just skaters, they're human beings, and they have feelings that they can apply to everything that they do. And again, it's just, I felt so honored to be able to sit in that building. I didn't even take notes during their skating because I just wanted to remember every moment of it. I just, if I wrote anything down, it was while I wasn't looking. And it was just one of the great nights of skating I've ever witnessed, because there was so much hype, so much attention, so much pressure put on these young women, and they went out and they just answered. And it was beyond expectation.
Well, I like that, because we always talk about living up to the hype. It lived up to the hype and then took it to a different level. And part of that's definitely Medvedeva. The other part clearly is Zagitova. And that brings us to today's power move presented by Toyota. For Zagitova, it's that triple Lutz, triple loop combination.
And the hardest combination in the competition, and she did it at the end of her program when she absolutely needed it.
I think that second jump is bigger than the first sometimes. That loop is phenomenal. Reminder what we saw in practice just the day before this performance with a triple Lutz, triple loop, triple loop, triple loop, triple loop. I think it was, if I'm counting correctly. I mean, she's capable of a lot more, but in this moment, this was exactly what she needed to do to seal the deal.
But no other skater in the competition would have done that or could have done that. It just, I look back in history, if you miss a jump, you're supposed to just sort of like say, okay, deal with it, go back to the program, stay in your lane, don't get creative, just do what you're trained to do. And I got to think that they're trained to do that. They're trained to, like, if you make a mistake here, add it there. Or in this run through, we're going to do triple loops on the landing of every single jump, just to train your body and your mind and to be able to do whatever. That's the preparation of Eteri. Her athletes are just so beautifully prepared for any situation. That was extraordinary.
And they're training these athletes, as you mentioned, complete people, complete skaters. So now we look into the future. I mean, Zagitova is just 15 years old, but there are plenty of other Russian skaters being trained right now. It's a machine, and we're going to see some new faces in 4 years.
Absolutely. And it was interesting. I was listening to the broadcast, listening to Tara and Johnny call it live, and Tara made a comment saying they know, Zagitova and Medvedeva, that this may be their only chance at gold. And I said, huh? That seems strange, but they're so great. And then I thought on it for a little while, and I said, she's absolutely right, because they, more so than any of us, know what's coming up behind them, because they train right alongside these young girls half the time, and they've seen what's coming up in the junior ranks. What's to come is going to be mind-blowing.
That's a little bit of pressure for a 15-year-old. Knowing this is the moment and then delivering like that.
They're chiseled. They're chiseled out of some really strong granite. I mean, just emotionally, mentally, physically, they're just at another level. And it's I can't. There's not enough words to say how impressive that is under the expectation, the pressure of the anchor kind of event in the Olympic Games. It's beyond description.
All right, we'll save some of your words.
Okay.
We're still early on the show. We got plenty more to get to. Our breakdown of yesterday's ladies free skate will continue. We're going to look back at the race for the bronze. We will hear from Caitlin Osman after she skated what was the program of her life. And welcome back to PyeongChang. It was a thrilling battle for gold between two training mates from Russia. I think a lot of figure skating fans at home want to know what the Americans need to do to catch up to the Russians. Things need to change dramatically in training?
I just think it's kind of hard to say it, but I think in many respects we've just forgotten how to compete. To be like, just have that fire in your belly to kind of like, no matter what the distractions, no matter what's going on around you, to be able to, no matter what the situation is, throw it down. And I just feel like it's a little bit here instead of like that, it's just a little, and it's emotional, maybe mental a little bit, I don't know, but it's just like we need to have that fire in our belly that pushes training every single day to the point where when that light hits, our name is called, there is no doubt, none, that it's going to happen. Kind of like Virtue and Moyer did in the, they're right here.
As I walk into the studio?
No, I mean, it's the end of the night, it's the, expectations are high. 100%. It's going to happen.
Yeah, and I just wanted to mention, you know, you brought up U.S. figure skating. In my experience competing with U.S. figure skating, I always felt like they were willing and ready to offer whatever support I needed, whether it be, you know, more mental training, more periodization, any aspect of my training, they were there to support.
Yes.
So I think maybe an important step at this point is for these athletes to take some time to really, even in these moments more closely to the competition, consider what they feel like they needed more of or less of, what they felt like they were lacking in terms of their mental preparation, and then communicating that, because I do think that the network exists to provide them with everything that they need, and whether it be from their coaches or from their federation, wherever they need to find it, it's just an important kind of moment for them to go back and reassess all the little things that went into this moment.
Yeah, in ladies singles, the U.S. has not had a medal at the Olympics since 2006. So as we continue to search for answers about the future, it's nice to wake up to this every day, huh? Gorgeous shot of the coast. Our spot here in the Olympic Park, not that far away from that. As we welcome you back, the ladies' competition is over. And I think the last few days have showed us that, as it has at previous Olympics, nothing is guaranteed. It doesn't matter how dominant a skater has been leading up to the Olympics. We saw that play out here. But now we look to the future. And one of the things we really spoke about heading into this Olympics, and specifically into the ladies, is what would be rewarded. We found out. What do you think will be rewarded 4 years from now? Do you think this changes?
I think that the technical level is going to continue to rise to what we would have considered even just 4 years ago astronomical levels. I think that's already set in motion. It's set in stone. It's going to happen. The quads are coming. More triple axels are coming. Obviously, the combinations are going to become more and more difficult. But what I had anticipated, or maybe even what I had dreaded a little bit leading into the ladies' competition, was that someone else, someone like a Carolina Kostner, would skate lights out with an exceptionally beautiful, well-rounded performance and not be rewarded for it. I wasn't left with that feeling in the end. I agreed with the placements. I think that there was a lot of good development in terms of the components from all of the skaters. Of course, there's lots of room to grow, but at the same time, when you're 15 years old, where is the time to develop all of that? It does take time. You focus on the jumps first because that's where the value is right now. It makes complete sense, but I do hope that those components continue to be reevaluated. I don't want to get back on my soapbox, but I do hope that the program components, the artistic side of things, are recalibrated in terms of how those scores notch up to the technical scores.
And again, this is the soapbox segment. You know?
Yeah, go right ahead.
I think, you know, what people see is what's winning and what does it take to win. And that's, I mean, it's a really simple thing. It's like, well, what won? What do I need to do to get there or past it? How do I beat that? I mean, it's a natural competitive thing. When you watch, you know, just a technical, you know, this happens, then this happens, then this happens. I mean, it's the nature of competition.
Are you fine with what won? Are you fine with how success is defined?
I think so. At this competition, I think the dance event was, you know, you had two different styles. They were both rewarded, right? Because they were both excellent. In the men's event, you know, you saw that what was rewarded was the athleticism, much more than anything else. In the pair event, my goodness, it just came down to cleanliness. It's just delivering every aspect of the competition equally. Individual elements, pair elements, throws, everything had to be delivered, which is the way it's supposed to be. And then in the ladies' competition, you had two different styles of approach, one more based in artistry with great, incredible technical ability, and the other one was based in technical ability with great, incredible artistry.
Yeah.
So that's what wins, and being great on the night.
Yes, and I think that one thing that I really was left with was the idea that it's important to point out that the component score also takes technical ability. It's not the same technical ability as the jumps. It's not the one that stands out, and it's not part of the technical score, but it takes time, physicality, talent. It takes just as much to develop that side of your skating as it does to develop the jumping side of the skating. So it's not as though it's like these skaters can work on the jumps and then one day say, okay, now I'll add in the artistry. You have to do ballet. You have to understand art history. You have to train your body in order to enhance that side of your skating. So I just don't really always like the idea of saying one's artistic like it's some kind of obscure, intangible thing.
But it starts on the ice. Edge quality, being able to control your skates, being able to get on a pure, beautiful, silent, gorgeous edge with complete control. And I think we miss that because we're such in a hurry to get to the next thing.
Yeah.
We got to be big, we got to be showy, we got to be no, it's the quality of the edge. And I've heard Janet Lynn, legend from the 70s, just say, this is something that's being forgotten in our sport, is just the beauty and the quality of a pure edge. And let's just take it down to its base level. It's the ice and it's the way the blade touches the ice. That's what we're most concerned with.
I have a really quick story. I always go back to this with my students. I had the pleasure of going to see the Bolshoi Ballet when I was competing in Moscow one time, and my coach took me behind the scenes. They had the ballet dancers warming up with simple pliés, the most simple exercise. Sweat beating down their face, because that's the kind of effort you have to put to develop your basics.
All right. I think that'll be the perfect final thought here for today. We will have a full review of this entire Olympic figure skating competition. That is tomorrow. It is 1 hour earlier at 6 p.m. Eastern right here on NBCSN, ahead of the Figure Skating Gala, which is tomorrow over on NBC.